But here we stand in Genesis, the 45th chapter. And this is what it's all about. Every hard road you've had to walk, every unfair circumstance or situation that's come into your life, everything that's happened that you just don't understand, where you're questioning God and questioning everything in life, it's not just so we can be free from that. This is what it's about. Joseph says to his brothers, please come near to me. So they came near. Then he said, I am Joseph, your brother, whom you sold into Egypt. Verse 5, but now do not therefore be grieved or angry with yourselves because you sold me here. For God sent me before you to preserve life. For these 2 years the famine has been in the land, and there are still 5 years in which there will be neither plowing nor harvesting. And God sent me here before you to preserve a posterity for you in the earth, and to save your lives by a great deliverance. That's what it's all about. That's why we went through what we went through. That's why I had to deal with that circumstance in my life. That's why that unfair thing happened to me. That's why that person rejected me or abandoned me. That's why this unfair treatment came into my life. That's why that was. Because God was doing something and working something inside of me that was going to preserve life forever. And if I will learn how to forget those things which are behind, if I will learn how to look forward and press on and look and see what God has to do in my life and in my future, and allow Him to take every one of those things, every one of those situations and circumstances, and begin to work them for the good in my life. I may overuse it a lot, but I can't help it. I keep going back to Romans 8:28. And we know that all things, everybody say all things work together for good to those who love God and who are called according to His purposes. So you know what that means is? That means even that unfair thing that happened in your life, God's taking it and He's mixing it in the pot, and He's going to use it for your good. Even when that person hurt you the way that they did, it was just a tool of God. There was nothing more than a pawn in the hand of God to begin to work and develop in you and me what only He can do in us. When I think about Romans 8:28, I always think about baking a cake. Probably heard me say this a million times. But unless you're Rocky Balboa, I don't know how many of us in here will crack open 3 eggs and pour it in a glass and turn it up raw. It's pretty nasty. I don't know how many of us in this room would take a big old huge tablespoon of flour and just down it. Good old flour. What I've been wanting all day. Let me tell you, Kayla and I went on a 10-day cleanse. On about that 6th or 7th day, even a big spoonful of flour sounded good. None of us are going to take a bottle of vanilla and just turn it up. But it's something about whenever those gentle hands begin to take each one of those ingredients and scoop a little bit of flour here, some of the sugar over here, and crack open those eggs, and those master hands begin to mix it all together. All the good, all the bad, the nasty, the hurtful things, the dangerous things. Some of those things are dangerous to eat by themselves, uncooked. But we let the master gentle hands begin to mix it all together. And then sticks us in that oven. It turns the temperature up. And the fire gets a little hotter. But in the middle of that fire, in the middle of all that tough time, all those impurities are being cooked out. And all of a sudden, that dough is beginning to rise, just as you are beginning to rise. And boy, when it comes out of that oven, it's that luscious, beautiful creation that God destined and designed it to be from the very beginning. That's you and me. So can we forget about the things which are behind? Let's let God do in the present what only God can do. Let's allow him to use everything in our lives. God, I give it all to you today. My hurts, my pains, the unforgiveness that I have, God, I surrender it all to you today, God. Begin to mix me up, God. Put me in the oven. Pull all the impurities out of my life, because I want to be used mightily of you, God. I want you to do great things in my life. I want to be that beautiful masterpiece when it comes out. I want to be that vessel that you can set up on your front window there and show the world. Yes, he went through this, and yes, she experienced that, and yes, this unfair treatment came into her life, but look at her now. Look at what she allowed me to do in her life. Forgetting those things which are behind, I press forward, and it's all for a greater purpose. Joseph knew that. He knew that though you hurt me, you meant evil, but God meant good. And everything that's happened in my life has been for this purpose and this time and this reason, is to preserve life. It's to see God preserve our name and our family and our heritage. It's for our future. Father, I'm so thankful today, God, for your grace. Your grace and your mercy, God, that's never ending, that reaches to wherever we are, God, in our lives. And today, God, as a congregation, we come surrendering all to you. I surrender all to you today, God. All of the weights of condemnation and shame from yesterday, I leave it at your feet today, God. All of the unforgiveness that I harbor and I carry because of things that have happened in my life that I didn't ask for, that was unfair, that was an injustice, I give it to you today, God. Let your forgiveness, God, begin to saturate my heart and my mind today. Lord, today we even ask forgiveness for holding unforgiveness towards you. And God, today we release you to do your work in our lives. Today, God, we ask that you have your way in every life, in every home, God. Lord, so that in every home, in every marriage, in every relationship, God, there will be nothing tainting it. There will be no stumbling blocks. There will be no barriers or walls built, but there will be freedom. Freedom, God, because you are in control. Because we've released our unforgiveness to you. We're releasing our pasts to you. And we press on. We press on for the mark of the goal of the high calling. Thank you, Jesus. Thank you, Jesus.